It's November 8th, 1939, Munich, Germany. You're inside the Burger Bräukeler beer hall, 600 people packed into the room, and at the front, screaming into a microphone, is Adolf Hitler. You have a bomb. It's already planted. It's going off in 13 minutes. And Hitler is about to leave early. That this actually happened. A carpenter named Georg Elzer built a bomb, planted it inside a pillar right behind the podium, and set the timer perfectly. Hitler finished his speech and walked out of that building 13 minutes before the explosion. 62 people were injured, 8 died. But Hitler lived. You're Georg Elzer. Except in your version, Hitler doesn't make it to the door. Here's the thing nobody tells you about killing the most evil man in history. It doesn't go the way you think. First 30 seconds after the explosion, chaos, screaming, smoke, people running. Then the news hits Berlin. Hitler is dead. And here's where everyone assumes the war just stops. The Nazis collapse. The Holocaust ends. Europe is saved. Roll credits. But that's not how any of this works. And this is not even close to the worst part. Hitler didn't run Germany alone. He had a machine behind him. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, architect of the concentration camps. Hermann Göring, commander of the Luftwaffe, second most powerful Nazi in Germany. Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda genius who made an entire nation believe whatever he needed them to believe. These men don't disappear when Hitler dies. They fight for power immediately, viciously. And here's the kicker, and if some of them are smarter than Hitler. Hitler made catastrophic military decisions that actually helped the Allies win. He invaded Russia in the middle of winter. He declared war on America after Pearl Harbor for no strategic reason. He micromanaged his generals when he should have stayed out of it. A competent Nazi leader doesn't make those mistakes. Think about that for a second. Let's talk about the Holocaust, because this is the question everyone is really asking. In November 1939, the Holocaust hasn't fully started yet. The mass extermination camps, Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, don't exist yet. The systematic murder of 6 million Jewish people is still being planned. So killing Hitler in 1939, does it stop the Holocaust? Maybe. But here's what makes that complicated. The ideology didn't live in one man's head. It lived in an entire system. The laws stripping Jewish people of citizenship already passed. The Kristallnacht pogrom already happened. The SS and Gestapo infrastructure built specifically for persecution, already operational. Whoever takes power after Hitler inherits that machine, and they have every incentive to keep using it. Does it get as bad? Probably not. Does it stop completely? Almost certainly not. And that's the part that breaks you. Now, here's the military situation, and this is where it gets really complicated. In November 1939, World War II has just started. Poland has already fallen. But France hasn't been invaded yet. Britain is still fully in the fight. America isn't in the war at all. In the real timeline, Hitler's invasion of France in 1940 worked because he personally overruled his generals and approved a risky attack through the Ardennes forest. His generals thought it was crazy. It worked anyway. Without Hitler, his generals used the safer, more conservative plan. France holds, maybe. Does that mean Germany loses the war faster? Or does a more competent military leadership actually make Germany harder to beat? Wait, it gets more complicated. The Soviet Union. Hitler invaded Russia in June 1941. Operation Barbarossa, widely considered one of the biggest military blunders in history. He opened a two-front war against the largest country on earth in winter while still fighting Britain. His generals begged him not to do it. He did it anyway. Without Hitler, that invasion probably doesn't happen, or it happens later, better planned, with more resources. And here's what that means. The Soviet Union doesn't suffer 27 million casualties. Stalin doesn't become a wartime hero. The Red Army doesn't emerge from World War II as the most battle-hardened military force on the planet. No massive Soviet military. No Soviet expansion into Eastern Europe after the war. No Cold War. You killed Hitler. You accidentally prevented the Cold War, which sounds incredible. Until you realize everything the Cold War produced. The space race, the moon landing, the internet, which was originally a military communication network funded by Cold War fear. The entire technological acceleration of the second half of the 20th century, driven by two superpowers, terrified of each other, gone, or at least completely different. Here's the one nobody sees coming: Israel. The State of Israel was founded in 1948, directly because of the Holocaust. The systematic murder of 6 million Jewish people created the moral and political momentum that made the world say, okay, there needs to be a Jewish homeland. The United Nations voted. Israel was established. Without the Holocaust at that scale, that political momentum doesn't exist in the same way. The vote might not happen. Israel might not be founded when it was, how it was, or at all. The entire history of the Middle East changes. Every conflict, every alliance, every border drawn in that region after 1948, different, completely different. You pulled one thread in Munich, and 60 years later, maps are redrawn on the other side of the world. Let's get to the biggest twist. Nuclear weapons. The Manhattan Project, America's program to build the atomic bomb, was driven by one fear above everything else, that Nazi Germany was building one first. Einstein himself wrote a letter to President Roosevelt warning that Germany might be developing nuclear weapons. That letter is a big part of why America poured billions of dollars and the greatest scientific minds of the century into Los Alamos. Without a Nazi Germany that seems capable of winning the war, does Roosevelt greenlight the Manhattan Project? Does it get the same funding, the same urgency? Maybe the atomic bomb gets built 5 years later, maybe 10. Maybe it never gets used on Japan because the war in the Pacific ends differently, because the war in Europe ended differently, because everything is different. Or maybe Germany, with better leadership and no catastrophic military mistakes, actually builds it first. You killed Hitler. You might have handed nuclear weapons to the Nazis. Let that one sit. It's still November 8th, 1939. The smoke is clearing. The beer hall is destroyed, and across Germany, the news is spreading. 600 people saw it happen. By morning, the whole country knows. And in Berlin, 6 men are already in a room deciding who takes power next. They're not panicking. They're not mourning. They're negotiating. The machine doesn't need Hitler to run. It never did. He built it, but he built it to outlast him. He built it to run on ideology, not on one man. You walked in there with a bomb, and you stopped one person. You didn't stop what he built. And now that thing he built is running without the one man who kept making mistakes, without the one man whose ego kept overruling his generals, without the one man who, in ways nobody fully understood until it was over, kept giving the Allies chances to survive. You thought you were ending the war. You might have just changed who wins it, and you'll never know which version of the world is worse, the one where Hitler lived or the one where you made sure he didn't. Nobody will.